Hey, cheers guys, I'm the Tech Prepper. Hope you're all doing well. I'm getting ready for a trip. I'm going to go to Perry, Georgia for the American Milsim Airsoft event. And as part of that trip, I have a couple of objectives. And I want to share with you guys what I'm planning on doing while I'm there and also how I'm planning on preparing and packing for this trip. So the primary objective is to meet and greet a few folks, the people over at American Milsim, and get a sense for their comms need for that event. Also my buddy over in Armorlock that does the wonderful pack frames. But more than that, we want to go ahead and make sure we're able to do a tech preview of the FTM 6000 man pack, the FT817 man pack, and how that interfaces with some of the digital software I've been working on. So we're going to be testing out the DigiLink Nano. We have 3 of these. It's similar to the DigiRig, but does not include cat control. And we're going to connect this to 2 different devices. The first will be my IP68 rated Android phone, and we're going to be doing some FL Digi primarily and APRS on this device. We're also going to try interoperability with that platform and the CF20 Toughbook, running my EmComm Tools software along with a whole other suite of ham radio software. So it's really for us to do a lot of field testing, so a lot of APRS, a lot of keyboard to keyboard communication. So I don't want to go into too much detail, but primarily we're going to be working FM only on 2 meters and working mostly with FL Digi with the MT63 modem and also working with APRS on packet. Now for this event, I created a very lengthy itinerary that includes everything from the objectives of the trip to contact details, emergency contact information, all of the travel logistics, lodging logistics, and then the communications plan. So I won't go into everything, but there are a number of local simplex frequencies that Seth and I want to be on, the gentleman from Armorlock. There's also some simplex frequencies that are used by the actual event for the wargaming. There are some local repeaters in the area. There's some local WinLink infrastructure. So I just want to make sure that we have all of this listed. So in preparation for this, I actually decided to use my EmComm Tools software package as a little bit of a planning tool. And while I don't have any mechanism to show you it on the screen right here, can't capture the video, I can connect to that device and show you a little bit of where I see EmComm Tools in terms of a planning trip like this, where you're in a new area and don't know what infrastructure's in your area and how can possibly help you. So let me go ahead and start this recording. All right, so people have asked whether EmComm Tools will run on the phone. The answer is yes, but we're connecting to this computer. So right now the screen is a little bit smaller than I think I've ever shown you guys before. I actually prefer the full experience on the CF20, but hopefully you guys will get the point. So the first thing we want to do is go into our Tactical Awareness Map, or TAM. And you'll notice here there's a button here with 1 of 6. I have 6 different points of interest, the first being me. And we're going to go ahead and tab over to my first point of interest, which is my target airport, which is in Nashville. If we scroll down, we can actually see the map here, and this is 100% an offline map that's running on the Toughbook. Now what's interesting is I can go ahead and move my physical GPS location to this location if I want by hitting the Move To. And now if I scroll back down, it'll actually have me there as you at the Nashville airport. Now I could have opted to drop a few of the repeaters in this area. I did not do that because I'm not planning on spending any time in the Nashville area. Let's go back up and let's take a look at some of the other points of interest. So the next one is the actual American Milsim event, and we get effectively its GPS coordinates, the altitude, the distance from my location. So in this case, the distance is from the Nashville airport, which is 261 miles, and then a bearing. Obviously, there's going to be no communication over FM from that distance. So what I want to do is go ahead and I'm going to move myself to this position in Perry, Georgia. And again, if we scroll down, we can actually see here that I am listed on the map. My camera's going off. Fantastic. There are 2 pins here And these are actually 2 repeaters that are in this area in Perry, Georgia. And the cool thing about that is now that I'm pinned at the American Milsim event, we can go and I either click on one of the purple balloons here, or I can just go ahead and tap to the next position. So we can see here we have 1 repeater. Again, we get its geolocation, its altitude, and the distance from American Milsim where I had decided to move to. And that's 2.46 miles at a bearing of 156 degrees. And then we can also see that the line of sight calculator says, yeah, you should have no problem making a contact since it's less than 11.61 miles, which is the calculated radial line of sight. And if we scroll down, we can see here under info, it tells us that that repeater site is at the Perry Hospital. It gives us the frequency and the offset and the PL tone so we can program our handheld. So pretty cool stuff. Can go ahead and do it. Go to the next repeater site. And again, this one's a little bit farther at 3.45 miles, and we get the same type of information. So we can go down here and we can actually see that that spot in yellow is the active balloon. One other area of my comm plans that I'm working on for this trip is that I have a friend who I have not met before who lives in Atlanta, Georgia, which is, I believe, northwest of our location. And he gave me a repeater to try. And it is KK4 Golf Quebec. And as you can see here, I don't think I'm going to be able to make comms with him through that repeater because it's a distance of 67 miles. And given the elevation and the distance between both stations, the line of sight calculator is saying, hey, you could probably do 31.56 miles, but since the total distance is 67 miles, you're not going to make that contact. So unfortunately, I think this test will actually fail. The other cool thing here, in addition to getting the standard repeater information, I have some notes to make contacts with that ham. So I can actually go ahead and I'm going to copy his call sign and we can see where he's located. And we're going to drop it into the call sign search window here. And we're going to do our search. And you can actually see that he actually is pretty close to the repeater location. So what I want to do is pretend that I'm actually him. Actually, before we do that, one thing we're going to note here, let's see. Yeah, let's switch to his location. KI4ASK, yeah. So if I switch to his location and we go back one to that repeater, we can actually see for him, he's 1.73 miles to that repeater. And you can actually tell pretty easily on the map. So EmComm Tools for me now is a way for me to realize if I can make local communication happen either between myself and a repeater, myself and another ham radio operator, be it through simplex. So I hope to have this application released much later in the year. Things are really slow for me, but hopefully you guys can get a little bit of a preview of kind of the power of EmComm Tools as a planning tool. All right, so I'm planning on bringing 3 bags with me, 2 of which I'm going to carry on the plane. The first one is just my carry-on bag. It's just a small duffel. And the items that I plan to carry on are all of my batteries. So this includes the 6 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery for the FTM 6000, the lithium batteries for my flashlights. Those are CR123. Extra batteries for my HT. And then I also plan to carry a kit I've already shown on the channel, and this is essentially my full HT kit. It has, I'll show you guys real quick. So all I have here is another battery tray with rechargeable AA batteries, my Yaesu FT60R, a 5 and 12 volt rechargeable battery pack, my MobiLink TNC. I have another Android phone in here, a bunch of antennas, but basically these are all the things that cannot go into the plane, mostly everything that has a battery on it. All right, so this next item is my actual pack that I'm planning on bringing for the event. I'm bringing my Everly Stock Fact Track. Now, one tip I have when traveling is that the airlines do not, they're not responsible for the bag itself, the outer bag. That's why I've opted for an REI duffel bag, the actual bag that is not warranted. And then I have my full Everly stock backtrack backpack here. And the things I can actually put in here are things like my knives and everything else that is not legal for me to carry on the plane. There is no fuel or anything that's hazardous materials. If I decide to carry a CCW, there's a process for that, and that would go inside in a lockbox with it unloaded with a fresh case of ammunition. All right, guys, so this last one is a little bit of a bonus. This is actually my personal item. It could be thought of as your laptop case, but it's just my flat pack, and I want to share with you just 5 items. I carry much more than that I recommend everybody carry when they fly. All right, so the first is an empty water bottle. The TSA does not allow you to bring liquids through, water bottles, for example. So I always carry an empty one, and every airport in the nation by law is required to have potable water stations. So rather than buying water at $5 a pop or higher at the airport, bring your own water bottle so you're always hydrated. Number 1 item. Number 2, I never know what the weather is like. I could leave here in sunny Arizona and it could be very cold and raining somewhere else. So I always carry a rain jacket with me regardless. As someone who's been stranded many times at an airport, sleeping on the floor, sleeping in lounge chairs, I always have a snack pack. And this is essentially the same snack pack I carry in my ETC bag or my backpack when I go hiking. It's typically just beef jerky, bars, sometimes candy, electrolyte powder for my water. And the reason for it is sometimes you get to an airport and the concessions are closed. Or sometimes everybody is stranded and the lines are so freaking long, you don't want to wait 2 hours for a snack or a meal. Item number 4 is cash. I always like to carry in small bills, usually no larger than a 20, about $100, just in case. I've been to airports many times where they've had outages at their point of sale system, and sometimes they'll take cash. And the last one is more of a personal defense item. I also carry a pen, but my EDC flashlight always comes with me. This one's great because if the area I'm in is dark, for example, I can enable the light or use the strobe as a blinding mechanism. So I carry more stuff than this, like TP packets, for example, like baby wipes, but these are my top 5 items that I would recommend for anybody if you care. All right, guys, well, I'm the Tech Prepper. Be strong, be safe, and be prepared. I think we're gonna do maybe a follow-up video if something goes completely sideways and TSA decides to make an example of me for carrying radios or wearing a tactical hat, who knows? All right, guys, take it easy. We'll see you in a bit.